They see me blogging. They be screamies. Screamy shouties. People who need attention desperately, usually are drunk. Sometimes they're not. Henry Derringer, 1852. Single action, single shot percussion cap muzzleloader. Generic derringer with a different spelling. Or the actual reason the word became kind of a term. The smallest usable physical sized handgun or pistol, depending on how you do the definition, of a given caliber that's not a revolver or auto loading. It could be something else, but basically it's almost always single shot, or it has multiple barrels and fires a single shot from each one. It doesn't auto reload the mechanism after firing it and expend the casing, or use caseless ammunition and reload a cartridge. Nor is it a revolver, which is a kind of magazine-fed thing, depending on who you talk to, because revolvers, the revolving drum, is called a drum magazine by some people. High-capacity magazine. 8-shot cap gun. So anyway, Garacha, Queen Anne, boot, Tobby, man-stopper, vest pocket, sleeve, or muff stocking pistols. I'm including all the names. I didn't make these jokes. Someone else did. Typically were used to deter, in some cases, surgeons from amputating the officer's limb in the event of injury. See also the Lancaster, Winchester, or any other variation 4-barrel guns, pistols, and shotguns that are over and under and side-by-sides that are also referred to as mega derringers or giant derringers, because they're the smallest version that they could make, because they needed to, for a 4-barrel shotgun, pistol, or rifle, otherwise known as pepper boxes. But if it doesn't rotate the box, the drum magazine, then they're actually referred to as derringers. It has nothing to do with the handle shape. I was actually looking this up, and I figured I should do this. Also should include the fact that pistol, handgun, and other terms that are used are done interchangeably, and it's not a gun gripe. Handgun and pistol. Pistol arose in the late 16th century describing any handheld gun or handgun. Handgun was a term used about the same time, so they were used interchangeably at the time for short and also for technical reasons. Now, depending on who you ask, a handgun has to be magazine fed, or a pistol has to be magazine fed. That screams that nobody uses the term correctly. Now, we could decide one is the other or not. We could decide that it has a strict definition on the mechanics of it. But that's a little like the fact that assault rifle and assault weapon are both terms that were created for salesmanship or propaganda, and not by the people you think, and then adopted by the actual gun industry. Yeah. You can't claim it was invented. Sort of like the word conspiracy theory wasn't really invented by the CIA. They took advantage of it, but it's been around a fuck ton longer than that. And it's had a negative and positive connotation, but mostly negative, because most people who claim that a conspiracy has to happen almost invariably refuse to prove it. They do it for other reasons, usually to deflect criticism. A lot like the Freeman on the Land and Sovereign Citizen thing had an origin story of people doing something and lying about why. But anyway, let's get on with it. So, firearm, pistol, micro shotgun, and non-rotating pepper box derringers or deringers. His actual name is pronounced derringer, but it's spelled deringer, D-E, ringer. And if you add an extra R in there, D-E-R, it's derringer, which sounds vaguely, if you want to say it that way, German. Anyway, Henry Derringer, or Derringer, or Deranger, or Henry the Deranger, or Henry the Ranger, all sorts of jokes, was the person who created this originally. And I want to point out a couple of other types. Screw guns. These were guns that were built, this is crazy, but here we go. Instead of it being muzzleloader, it was a breech-loading muzzleloader. Okay, what is this? You did load it from the muzzle in reverse. You take the barrel apart, point the gun up, so the breech muzzle, it is still a hole, so it's actually still a muzzle. This is a barrel extension. It was pointed up this way. Yeah, and this is the funny part. Then you could put propellant in here and then drop the ball on it because it has a ball-shaped section. The hole where the propellant, the gunpowder went, was smaller than the ball, so it would never jam, and it acted as its own funnel. And then when you put the barrel over the ball, it would squeeze down and push the rifling into it. This made it insanely much more efficient. You could use less propellant, get a lot of speed, and it had a habit of clearing its own bore a little bit easier. And it made it to where you didn't have to ramrod it in place, so the ball went in unaltered until it came through the rifling. And it could squeeze bore, do all sorts of crazy tricks. You could get barrels that did different things. And this is another thing you might not realize, because you didn't have to ram the ball backwards through it, it did not require anything but gunpowder, primer, or flash pan in most cases, and the ball. Didn't require patches or anything. It was an actual hardcore improvement. And this is usually referred to as the Queen Anne pistol, or boot pistol, or stocking pistol. Foot stocking, not stalking you. Now, why am I bringing this up? I was trying to find out what the damn things were called, and of course the Wikipedia article didn't come up when I first looked for it, and then I looked up all the designs, and it shows only one person talking about this. It's an interesting thing because it was a muzzleloader that used a barrel extension, so it was both a muzzleloader and a breech loader, and it could use, this is another funny one, if you altered it so it didn't have a flintlock or matchlock or whatever, if you put a cap lock in it or just put a primer for a shotgun into one of these things, someone actually did this, you could use modern smokeless powder in the damn things because they were over-designed, because it was designed to create ridiculously high pressure spikes in it. So it was already, in the 1800s or something, designed to tolerate modern propellant. Now think about that for a minute. It wouldn't deform the ball until they fired it. It would fireform it into a ballistically useful shape and make a rifle bullet out of it. And it would come out almost the same shape as a standard bullet out of a pistol now. It's still a single shot. Next, legal carrying a firearm, open or concealed, is not a reasonable suspicion to detain someone in almost every state. This has been decided because it's not open carry, you're just transporting the gun. If I carry a magazine locked in a box and a gun locked in a box, and if they're not in the same box, or if I locked it properly, it's not considered open or concealed carry. It's just I'm transporting something. But let's go on. 25 states allow no permit open carry. You can just go ahead and carry it. The state of Oregon is like that, but each city and county will be different, so void where prohibited by whoever. 15 states require some form of permit. It may just be as simple as you actually acknowledging you're a hunter and paying a hunter fee, but other than that, not much. Or it might require something else. Like in the city of Portland, Oregon, you have to have a concealed weapons permit. I'm going to get to the price tag on that. 4 states, the Washington, D.C. area, and some parts of Virgin Islands, or the entire thing, prohibit it outright for you to open carry. The rest are a mixed bag, and good luck looking it up. But for the most part, most states have a will issue permit rule, meaning unless there's a compelling reason, meaning you're innocent until proven guilty, they have to give you a concealed weapons permit so that you can bypass all the bullshit. Some Californians can openly carry only unloaded guns, but unlike a lot of places in Oregon for some reason, because some idiot did something stupid, obviously caused a law change, you can carry a loaded magazine pulled from the gun with the action open if it's possible to do so, and or just not being able to fire anything. Put a plug in it to show that it has no way of firing, and at that point it's considered transport, and you can legally carry it for self-defense, which means you can carry a pistol open carry and hide. It doesn't require open carry of the magazine, so you can have the magazine over in here and have a gun over here with no magazine in it. And the funny part about this is, you can buy guns that look like they have the magazine in them when they don't. You're going to get stopped by a cop, but you just say it has a fake magazine. That's actually the cover for the magazine well. It pops open when I put the real magazine in. That way it looks like you have a loaded gun 24/7 if you want to, and you're still complying with the law. And of course this is in California. Amazing, huh? But only some Californians can. Application for a 4-year Oregon shall issue concealed handgun license that allows you to open carry loaded or with a magazine in the other pocket in Portland is $65 for 4 years. $15 for getting replacement cards, that sort of thing, and $50 for renewal at 4 years. Want to do it on time. 2 character references are required, and you have to take a firearms saving training course, which at that point I agree with that, but my rule is you should be able to pass a firearms usage competency test and have a lifetime permit to open carry. Everywhere in the United States, it should be a federal law that says if you can prove that you're not an idiot with a gun, and you do the minimum required range time once a year like a cop does or whatever, where you have to fire at least 100 rounds over a 1 year period of time at targets to prove at least you're not a shit shot, I think that'd be good. You should get free range time for it because you're considered part of the general population that can defend in case of an attack. 1940s thoughts. The county sheriff will conduct a background check. So don't piss them off, or just go to a different county. You're supposed to do it in the residential area you're in, but if you're in a city like Portland, you can go to a different sheriff. We have more than one sheriff in Portland. And you don't have to deal with the same sheriff. They're all called sheriffs in some places. So that's kind of funny. Next thing, rather important. If you're in a shall issue state, which most states are in the United States, they have to give you a permit unless they have a very compelling reason not to. And if they cite one, you can contest it in court and demand it. And if you can prove the cop lied, you can take away his right to issue permits and give it to one of his subordinates, because if it's a personal issue or if he cannot articulate why. If it's a non-articulatable reason, it's not a reason. Whether or not there are signs posted that say no guns allowed, or you're concealed or open carry, or you do or do not have a permit for whatever status that you need, or you assert some right or rule. If you're asked to leave any property, you must leave, and if you do not leave, then you're breaking the law. That's simply the way it is. It's not a Second Amendment audit. You're not rights auditing. You're being told to leave the property. Doesn't matter whether you like it. Well, I have a right, get off the property. Now, the reason for this is really simple. If you're in some specific incident where you show any aggression or exclusively become aggressive with people, or argumentative or contrarian, as I like to call it, or carry the firearm directly in the hands instead of shouldered or slinged or put into a proper holster, or you have it in the low ready position or the firing position, or you're holding a combat stance in a non-aggressive situation, you're now brandishing at minimum. And if you're deliberately provoking people to stage an incident, to incite lethal force or potential for it, to try to make some sort of political point, you're suicidal. And next thing, doing this to anyone in a world where you want everyone to be able to open or concealed carry, you're taking the risk of getting your head blown off by an actual patriot or an actual Christian or an actual believer like you claim to be. Because you're at that point a clear and present threat, and if the damn thing's loaded, or it looks like it's loaded, and someone has reason to shoot you, you drop dead. It doesn't matter what your political orientation is, or how you self-identify. Black Hawk, helicopter. If buckshot tends to spread from an open bore at about 1 inch per yard, how far away will it be over half can miss an upper torso human silhouette target? This is a quiz question. What that means is a sense of human being, you go from chin down to belly, this diameter. How far away would buckshot have to be fired before about half of the pattern doesn't hit the target? Assume an infinite number of bullets, uncountable number of bullets. What would be the percentage? Well, that doesn't work. Assume 50 shotgun pellets. Assume 50 double-up box shot. But obviously, this would be a shotgun that would be enormous. But how far away would be the maximum range where you'd still hit the target but only hit it half the time? And of course, obviously, it's going to be like 8 or 9 pellet or 12 pellet. But statistically, how far away would you have to be from that if it spread at 1 inch per yard before it would be ineffective? Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that.